We hit the NRA annual meeting with 2 SDI grads. Knives were bought, flashlights were flexed, and Talon may or may not have left with a purse. This recap's got gear, grads, and some serious side quests. Join us now for this week's The Gun Rack. Hey everybody, welcome to a special edition of the Gun Rack podcast, SDI's podcast about everything firearms and the firearms industry. Today we're recapping our time at the NRA Annual Meeting in Atlanta. And as always, I'm here with Steve Ross, Director of Marketing. Say hello, Steve.
Hello, everybody.
And then we actually have two guests, Talon Jane and Owen Chambers, two graduates that actually helped us out at the booth. Say hi, everybody.
Hey, guys.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, don't be too excited. Anyway, Steve, tell us, just right off, what is the NRA Annual Meeting?
NRA show is like SHOT Show, but for everybody else. Again, we get to see a lot of the same people, but unlike SHOT Show, which is industry only to get invited or to attend it, NRA or NRA Annual Meeting is for NRA members to attend. That's usually who's going to be there. They get to attend for free. It's one of the largest gun shows that I know of, especially one of the larger ones we attend to. It is also open to the public. So if you're not an NRA member, love or hate the NRA, you can still go to the NRA show, give them your money, and you can just buy a ticket. But you're going to see a lot of new releases that maybe didn't make it out at SHOT Show, and you can still go in there, pick up the gun you're looking into buying. There's tons of optics. There's tons of accessories. There's tons of clothing companies there. So just another really big gun show. But if you didn't make it to Vegas for SHOT Show, NRA is definitely the show you want to go to go see all the new items for this year. That about sum it up?
I think so. All right, guys, why did you even want to go to the NRA Annual Meeting?
I mean, this is one of the big three, between like SHOT Show, GOA, and NRA. So this one was kind of a bucket list item wanting to hit to see what it was like, and having never been to the NRA show before, it didn't disappoint. I like what you said. It was very similar to SHOT Shows. Maybe, I don't know exact measurements wise, it seems like about a third of the size of SHOT Show, which sounds like a lot smaller, but SHOT Show is so immense. This is still more than you can see in the time frame that it exists.
And this was your second one, right?
Yeah, so this was my second one. I was actually really excited to see what was going to be different from the first one, because the first one I went to was, to me, felt like it was a lot bigger. Now, I don't know if it was a lot bigger, but it just felt like a lot more people. They had a lot more booths and things like that, but I kind of wanted to see what was going to be new this year versus last year. And we did see some really cool things.
Well, let's talk about that vibe then, because so last year was Dallas, Texas, and this year was Atlanta, Georgia. So I could tell there was a little bit of vibe change. Friday was really busy, and then you thought Saturday was going to be way busier, but it ended up not as busy. And then Sunday was like, and a Sunday is usually But I mean, what did you guys notice?
Well, straight off the bat, I thought Saturday, like you said, Saturday was going to be insanely busy, mostly because Friday, not everybody's there yet. But it was honestly the exact opposite. Friday was the busiest, and Saturday was actually pretty slow. And then Sunday's obviously expected to be slow. So that was kind of surprising to me, because from last year, I can tell you right now, I feel even like on Sunday, every single day was really busy. So that was one of the first things I noticed.
I'd say the thing I noticed the most is the attendees, the people walking around. At SHOT Show, nobody is from Las Vegas. No one is from Las Vegas. And I felt like 80%, rough guess, of the people that we talked to were from within a measurable distance from Atlanta. Most of them were from Georgia, or maybe the states that touch Georgia. It didn't seem like it drew from a lot further away.
I'll tell you my input on the vibe. Compared to SHOT Show to NRA show, SHOT Show, I feel like it was just grad after grad after grad coming by the booth to say hello. NRA show, obviously being open to the public. If you're working that show, you're at a booth. And not to say we didn't see a lot of graduates, but I didn't see as many graduates at an NRA show as I did at SHOT Show. But I did see a lot of people that were either current students or had really good conversations with people that had been seen us online, watching videos where we sponsor, and it was a good opportunity for them to come up like, hey, I want to meet you guys in person, answer, get my questions answered on programs. And we had a lot of people that were, really curious about SDI and wanting to take that next step. So even though I felt like it was a little bit smaller crowd on Saturday and Sunday, it really gave us opportunity to get to know those people that have some questions to answer before they wanted to enroll at SDI.
Yeah, there was a bunch of interest. I mean, well, one, we had our vice president of admissions out there, Jason Larson, and then Erica Baca, who's the career services person. So those are kind of great people to have at the booth. One, he's the boss of admissions, so he can talk about the programs, the pros about the program. But then also, if you just have any questions, he knows his stuff. And then if you want to know outcomes and where our students go, what they've done, career services was there for you as well. But we did meet. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
A little bit change of subject. I had actually a follow-up question for Talon. Sorry to get you off that, Christian.
Okay.
Talon, question for you. You've now been to, NRA show, SHOT Show, as a gunsmith, working gunsmith. If you only had one show to go to make your industry connections, decide your purchases for the year, which show would you pick?
I would definitely choose SHOT Show. I honestly don't think it's a close second. I feel like there was a lot more business-related discussions happening at SHOT Show because it is just for industry professionals. They know that every person coming up to their booth works in this industry. It seems like they're a lot more open to find out what you do, where you're at, what business you have. Not to say that that's not happening at NRA. I just think, if you're there, and it's kind of hard because I was there as a guest with SDI, I had an exhibitor badge, which I think gave that same kind of business respect that you get for everybody when you're at SHOT Show, versus being at NRA, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but that's a good little tip. I think if you're not an exhibitor, you're attending NRA. I know when I had those interactions with people, it always stood out to me like, man, their hat said their business name on it. Their shirt had their business name on it. You could tell almost right away, oh, they're here for work. They're not just here to pick something up or grab a free sticker. They're actually trying to accomplish something and have something to talk about. Not ignoring everybody if you didn't, but that was just a good kind of almost like when you go somewhere and you're carrying a clipboard around, like that same signal, just easy to pick up on.
That's a really good point. We had a lot of people come up to the booth wearing their business shirts. That Brothers company that was there in Georgia.
Yeah.
And you asked them what's Brothers Precision? And, you were able to kind of talk to them about their business and, the struggles of having the FFL where they were. So yeah, that's absolutely a good point versus just wearing your favorite grunt style shirt or whatever.
Yeah. And there was still a lot of cool stuff out there, because everybody's showing off the newest firearm they have. We saw, what was that thing, Steve, that cool down suppressor? This is like Waffen Tactical or something.
Yes, that exactly was it.
Yeah, it was very interesting. We did a little video of it. We'll probably put something out about it. But yeah, there was a bunch of stuff like that. Other than guns, we're all big knife guys. So I think I got 3 different knives. Owen probably bought 17 different knives. Talon just bought everything Owen bought because he wants to be like Owen.
Just like Owen, he's my hero.
But we did get some cool knives. Let me see.
Yeah, I don't want to downplay
on YouTube.
NRA.
Can we show knives on YouTube? I don't even know.
Who thinks they bought the coolest thing at NRA show?
Well, I mean,
I know for a fact I bought the coolest thing.
And that's a big difference. You bring that up. You can buy stuff at NRA and you can't buy stuff at SHOT Show. So that's a big difference between the two.
I would also like to point out a positive about the NRA show. On the last day, me and Talon were actually able to go and see the entire show floor versus SHOT. SHOT, you can spend the entire time walking the show and you've only been in 2 out of the 3 or 4 rooms. So you're actually able to see everything in a reasonable amount of time at NRA. So that's also a big difference.
Yeah. Talon, what did you say? Talon, what'd you say about, because you did a video on it on preparing for SHOT Show. How long could you stay at every booth if you wanted to see every booth within the whole time?
I think it's 3 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
3 seconds. You were, literally just And I think this one is a shorter show, but there's and I again, this is still a massive, massive, massive
Yes.
show. It sounds like we're like, oh, it's a lot. So it is massive. It's not even your big city gun shows don't compare to what this is. It is a good, if you can't make it to SHOT, you should make it to NRA because you'll at least get to see a third of what was available at SHOT. But it is still the venue, I didn't know venues like this existed before going to SHOT. And I mean, they're bigger than like Super Bowl stadiums. They're massive.
I'll also add this NRA show, I felt like different from previous years and especially from SHOT Show. I was able to like just walk up into the booths that I had on my list of wanting to meet with, but I didn't have interviews. And the people that were there, the decision makers I would want to meet with, were in the booth. Like, yep, come on over. We want to talk to you. We want to hear from you. Sometimes when you go to SHOT Show, either they're so busy you can't get in to meet with that person, or they're in a meeting and they're already across the hall somewhere else in SHOT Show, so you can't even find them. NRA was a lot easier to talk with the people that I had on my list to meet with.
Yeah, and that might be a great point. So if you are I'm not going to say a smaller business, but a smaller business that wants to go and talk to decision makers, NRA might be the spot for you, because even on a Sunday during SHOT Show or the final day on SHOT Show, people are still busy because that's what everybody's there to do. Talk business, talk business, talk business. And so this might allow you the time to find at least 15, 20 minutes to talk to decision makers. Talon, did you find the same thing?
Yeah, at SHOT Show, Owen and I went around trying to get interviews with, different people at different industries, and sometimes we would have to set those interviews days
Schedule
out.
them.
And they were down to, I have a block of time between 11 and 12 on Thursday if you can meet that. So you're absolutely correct. They are very busy, and a lot of these people fill up their schedule before they even get to SHOT. And I think with NRA, those same people get there and might have one or two meetings already pre-scheduled. I absolutely couldn't agree more. I think I scheduled 2 meetings. The rest of the time when I went around, they were pretty ready to talk the whole time.
And it is still a big show. The NRA show is huge. I think people are going to think that it's a lot smaller than the way we're talking about it, but me and Talon had to carry a table all the way down there, and we were gassed.
You felt every step.
Every step.
I mean, it might say something a little bit about your strength training and cardio, but
yeah,
it was.
I need to get there.
It is a big show. It is a big show.
Yes.
And that's another thing. There was a bunch of content creators there, and not huge content creators, but everybody who's like in that mid-level, lower level that are just trying to make content. Some of those folks, they're not in the industry as well as some are, and so they have a hard time getting in a SHOT Show. Or SHOT Show is not cheap. NRA, it's $10 for a day pass, or if you're an NRA member, you're good to go. You can just get in there and then record, do what you need to do. So if you're a budding YouTube sensation like Tradesman Firearms,
well, and it's not
go get
Vegas.
yourself there.
Just let in anybody.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not Vegas. We were talking about this. We got some food at the venue. It's reasonably priced versus the SHOT Show venue food and everything.
There's a Papa John's in there.
Yeah.
There's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich at SHOT Show is, $87, and you can get a pretty decent pizza or whatever for $15, So it is a drastically less expensive and more accessible. I'm not quite sure how it works where it moves around the country. I haven't figured out that whole situation yet, but another thing is it might just be a lot more accessible to you to get to.
Yeah. I will say pros and cons of that Atlanta Convention Center. One, food options. They have tons of food options in there, more than I've ever seen in the convention center. It almost made me forget about the death trap funnel that they had us go through.
My gosh.
Every time we left that building, with the escalators being down, and it was like a cow chute almost of just.
The escalators just got skinnier and skinnier.
It was terrible. Like if there was an emergency, Atlanta Convention Center, you need to figure that out.
I feel like we were 15 floors underground with the amount of escalators we took to get down there.
It was an underground bunker. It felt weird.
There was no way we were getting out of there.
Well, good thing nothing happened. What was nice, I mean, like you were allowed to carry in that convention center, and that's not the case at some convention centers. So appreciate, two-way friendly Georgia World Congress Center. So shout out them. Okay, so what were some of the cool things you guys saw? I know you did some interviews, Talon. Like, why'd you pick those folks? What was cool? What'd you see?
I did interview with Gunbroker just because a lot like myself, I'm a rural FFL, so Gunbroker is one of those businesses that allows people to sell nationwide. So I went and talked to them. So after I get all my SHOT Show videos out, I'll start up my NRA show videos. And then I did a couple interviews with some different tool manufacturers that, do tools for gunsmiths. Again, just anything I could find that would, I think, be good for people that are trying to enter this industry. But I did like the fact that not every booth was guns. That was, kind of different. There were knife booths. There was even jewelry booths. There was, purse booths for women that were walking around. And then, like Steve mentioned earlier, there was clothing booths.
I have many of purses, Talon.
Right, I forgot. I'm sorry. I forgot. I don't know why I said that.
2025, Talon.
Right.
Get over it.
Talon for like 30 minutes was just like modeling purses, and I'm like, Talon, is that for your wife? He's like, no.
Yeah. Talon bought his first purse at this NRA.
It looks fabulous.
It's a tactical shoulder bag.
Yeah.
It still carries all your stuff, and you look pretty in it. So
there was a lot of and here's another reason to go to NRA. Everything's on sale. They all are doing discounts, show discounts. So there's their normal price, their MSRP or whatever, and if you buy it here at the show, they were taking pretty good chunks off of the money. I think if there's something is going to be at the show and you're looking to purchase it, that might be something that you wait on.
Block it out, but some companies did give out like coupon codes that you could take home with you too.
One of the cool things that we saw in passing too was I don't know how many like new products that me and Talon saw that we had had the time to actually stop and take a look at. But one of the things that we saw was we stopped by the High Point booth, and they were coming out with this. They were coming out with this AR, and we were messing around with it, and we're like, man, this thing is nice. It was simple, didn't look like it was made in Microsoft Paint. Like it looked really good. And I was like, man, I don't know if I'm supposed to like this or not, but I really like this. And I was on some forums after the show, and there were other people talking about the High Point AR, and I was like, dude, I'm right there with you. This thing is nice.
I heard it was $150 and disposable.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Felt like
it was good.
Yeah, I feel like the High Point booth at NRA was nicer than the High Point booth that they had at SHOT Show, but a lot of booths were severely downsized between SHOT Show and NRA. Like they went from a 300 by 300 at SHOT Show to a 15 by 15 at NRA, so I'd say, but they were still there. So again, This is one of those where you can still see this stuff.
So we won't talk about Bear Creek Arsenal's booth then compared to SHOT Show.
Hey.
They were just trying it out. So if you stop by the BCA booth, don't
they're
judge.
all a bunch of really good guys.
They're really good guys. So okay, and what?
I was gonna talk about another new thing that we saw, and Talon will probably be able to speak on it a little bit better than me because he was bullying the guy about it. But the Palmetto State Armory booth, they were showing us some of their new stuff they were coming out with.
What'd you
say?
Go
ahead, Talon.
So here's a prime example. At SHOT Show, we were in such a hurry to try and see everything. We went to the PSA. We spent quite a bit of time actually at SHOT Show at the PSA booth, but when we were there, I never noticed that they have a 2011 coming out, and it looks phenomenal. I mean,
feels great.
I'm not going to say the company that it is emulating, but it's emulating a very expensive company that's coming out. So they don't have a price point for this particular pistol, and I'm not going to say what the industry professional told me, but because you're there and you're talking to them, sometimes when they say, hey, this doesn't have a price yet, you're like, yeah, but really? That's what he was talking about with me bullying him, was trying to get the price of how much this 2011 is going to cost. So you still get to see that stuff, And I said, you didn't have this at SHOT? And he goes, yes, we did. And I was like, well, I didn't see it, but that's because we were running around a lot. So
yeah.
Also, if any gun manufacturers see this and want to send me stuff to just try out and talk about, I'll I can be bought or whatever. So, I mean, no, we're, anyway.
Professional.
Yeah, I know Talon can for sure, but I just like shooting cool things. I'll give it back or not if you don't want it back,
Yeah.
but just let me know. Huh?
Link in the
All right.
description below.
What other cool things did you guys see?
There's a company, I don't have the name. I did get their information. I do plan on doing a video about it, but they put out a product. It's like a hand sanitizer, but it has something in it that basically draws lead away from the skin. It puts it into like a pumice that dries and falls off your hands. So if you're like me, my office is remoted from my house. So if I'm out here and I'm working with bullets and I'm reloading or I'm shooting and things like that, lead is super toxic for you, and getting that kind of stuff off your skin without having to walk into the house. And I think they said it was like soap and water gets lead out of your skin 68%. This is like 99%. So that's handy to have here. I wish I had the little bottle, but it's handy to have, So
Well, I just wish Talon would have found this product maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, because that explains a lot.
Before he got everybody sick.
All the effects of the lead started kicking in.
We're gonna call
Owen,
this
did you have
episode. We're gonna call this episode "Talon Discovers Soap."
Yeah, exactly.
terrible.
Yeah, let's write that down. Oh, did
One
you
of
have
the
something?
booths that we stopped at was we were walking back from getting food, and they had these flashbang grenades just sitting out there. And we were talking about a little earlier about who got the coolest thing. I definitely got the coolest thing. I got this flashlight that's 10,000 lumens, and it's like this big. I think the company's called Next Torch, NEXTOR, or something like that. And they were really cool. The flashbangs are reusable. They emit this insanely loud siren, and then on top of that, the LED diodes are like, I think, like 5,000 lumens, and there's like 30 of them just on this flashbang grenade, and it's 3,000 uses per charge. So it's only,
And it charges USB-C, right?
yeah, and it's USB-C charge too. So
His flashlight is bright. My flashlight will go 1,400 meters. So there's a pretty big difference deciding on whether or not big
It's
versus.
not the size of it; it's how you use it, guys. You know, so
you don't
I
need a
was trying,
flashlight when it turns the night daytime, though.
That's true. That's true. Well, you still didn't buy the flashbang. I was waiting for somebody to buy the flashbang.
We almost did.
I was like, if you've got a teenage kid that won't get out of bed for school, I thought this would be the perfect way. Just toss that thing in there.
And
I was going to get one and throw it in the bathroom when Talon was in there, but I was like, this might actually hurt him. So
yeah. All right. So how about connections? Let's talk about connections. Steve, what were some of the highlight connections we were able to make? Because Sunday we were just walking around.
If half the people I met on Sunday come in and do some content with us in the future, we'll have some incredible stuff to look forward to. I say this every year or every show. The best connections I make are when I meet students and graduates. I feel like they have so many insider tips and secrets and just unique ways they've taken what they've learned or what they are doing now and turn it into really cool business ideas. Kind of like the guy that you and I met, Dan, with what he's doing with his online store, like just exploring really cool, easy ways to grow a business without ever having to leave your house, basically, type of thing. For really good ideas for home-based gunsmiths, meeting students that could take their businesses to the next level with SDI. We met, who was it, Carl?
Yeah, Carl is a super cool dude. Yeah,
super cool dude.
Taylor,
custom tailor, and is like ready to move on to the next great thing of combining that with of his passion for firearms, which is awesome to see.
Shout out to Carl.
Yeah, Carl, Taylor to the stars. So
yeah,
and I have a picture of Carl
yeah.
in our booth tailoring up Rick's t-shirt, his button-down shirt that he offered to do for him. So nice,
and he looked good.
Yeah,
kind of like he knew.
I'm looking for.
Carl, we need a before and after. We'll have to get Rick to send some after pics to see what the.
Let's talk about Carl.
Carl's into fashion, so he looked real good too.
He had swag,
in a manly way.
I expect that after he graduates and he puts out some really high-end fashion concealed carry stuff, we're going to see Christian at those shows with some floor-length sweaters that, and packing,
You
so.
will
Yeah.
not. You guys know how much I sweat. I'm glistening right now, so you'll never see me in a floor length sweater, even in like -3 degree weather. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll wear a nice linen shirt or something like that. It was really cold
Yeah.
in there, though. I guess I could have, at least wore a long sleeve, a nice custom
I
concealed.
really look forward to seeing what he does in the future. I think he's going to do some really cool things in both the fashion and the firearms industry.
Well, speaking of which, we did have a grad reception at NRA. How do you guys feel that went?
It was different than ones we've had in the past. One, it was at Margaritaville. You can't have a bad time at Margaritaville, but it was definitely more casual. I feel like we had more just kind of hanging out, getting to know not only our graduates, but some of them brought their family members with them. Getting to know, more background on everybody was also good to hear. They get to tell us what's going on with their lives, share their experiences. That was a good one to attend.
Yeah.
Did
And
you
to
guys
Steve's
make any
point,
connections?
yeah, to Steve's point about how some of the best connections he makes is with graduates. One of the graduates that was at the reception, he works at HK, and so he was able to give us a little bit of insight on how HK USA operates and where they are and how small the facility really is, and things like that. So I think it was good. I liked how casual it was. I don't know if I was a big fan of the divider kind of dealio in
Yeah,
between us,
I
but
did not know there was going to be that divider. So you had one side, which funny, I was sitting on one side, then I went to the other. The other side's talking shop, and then the side I was on, we're all just talking hunting. So I mean, Owen is a big hunter. Talon maybe not so much, but just joking. uh, I mean, you guys talked hunting for almost the whole time we were
yeah.
there. So, and you built a bond. You
Yeah.
might have some folks to take some trips out with.
Yeah. And that's why I'm glad the parents were there.
Yeah. So we were on, Owen and I were on opposite sides. So he got to talk hunting and I was talking shop. And it was good because there were some people there that had attended SDI a few years back and were looking at basically trying to figure out how to break into this industry. And while we were there, they were, because I am in the industry and I am doing the job and whatever else, being able to kind of assure them like, hey, these are some things. The grad reception dinners and getting together with other grads is always great, just because, like the guy working at HK, we had a guy that used to work at Glock. We have people that, they're, so I mean, obviously people are in this industry, and like Steve mentioned earlier, at SHOT Show, we just had grad after grad after grad after grad coming through. So I think them getting to see there are people in this industry that are at SDI and kind of what they're doing. The gentleman next to me, I wish I could remember his name. He has a gunsmithing business in Texas. Him and I are both successful in our respective areas, and this other guy was basically just grilling us on what we did differently than what he's doing.
You just toss ideas and practices off each other, and that's kind of why we say it almost every time when we ask it and hear about it. It's just networking, finding the best ways to do things or different ways to do things, because you don't know what you don't know. So there could be a process that you don't know about that Talon knows about, or vice versa. So
I certainly learned a lot. Like I was just telling these guys before this started, one of the people that came up to our table uses a company called AmmoSeek to run their website and their drop shipping and everything else. And I've already set up an appointment with them and am, entertaining going that route, because I don't do any online sales yet, and I feel like I'm leaving money on the table. So that's definitely something I'll look at exploring in the future.
And I probably should have asked this at the beginning, but what goals did each of you have coming into NRA, and did you meet them? Steve?
I'll go. My goals were every year I want to grow our resource guide for the options that we provide to students in a couple different ways. One, we like having companies on there that sell cool stuff, so getting ourselves that industry discount program, student educational program discounts. So look forward to some more companies added to that list this year. It's in your student resource guide if you don't know about it. I think we have some really cool companies that will join that in the couple upcoming weeks and months. And in addition to that, they offered and put on the table having some of their internal subject matter experts come join us for some content options in the future. So that may be an option that we can do some Q&As with some definite leaders in the firearms industry, both people and leaders in product. And of course, man, like I said, I'll mention everything. Students and graduates at the show, come up and say hi to us. We take away so much hearing from you. It's the best networking we can do is hearing from you. And I hear something at a show and I'm able to connect it to somebody else and put two people together. I can do that a lot at the show. Or new students when they're coming in, if you introduce yourselves to us early on, we can kind of follow your path. And see where you're going next, and it makes helping you out for the next thing you want to do even easier.
One of my biggest goals was to really interface with more graduates that I have never met or even spoken with before, and I think I accomplished that. It's also really cool to see grads that are actually in the industry, especially at like such a public show like this. A great example is Will that we were talking about earlier with HK. I mean, he's with a very big company. And we have another guy with Liberty Sons and a couple other ones. And so it's really cool to see the success of the students after school, because we get a lot of questions of like, well, I've graduated. What do I do now? How do I get in? And so that was one of my biggest goals.
And Will was a young guy.
22.
He's very young,
Will's
22.
22.
22.
It's crazy.
It gives me more examples of when people ask me like, hey, we're seeing all these things about SDI grads don't go anywhere. You know, they don't get any opportunities, this and that. And it's just more and more examples that I can give and people that I can just pull up in an instant and show them. These are real examples of students that have succeeded after SDI.
Yeah. I wanted to reconnect with some people that I met at SHOT Show. I think kind of concreting the relationships I think it's important. The more times you meet somebody at different shows, they really, like we were talking about the BCA guys, talking to them again from having met at SHOT Show, meeting them again here, recognizing each other. My big ones was setting up a couple more interviews with a couple more companies, just again to try and get information out there that for maybe people that just can't attend any of these shows, giving them the opportunity to maybe see some of the products or services or whatever else. And, and again, just kind of see what NRA was all about. And I think I accomplished all my goals. I have some really, really, really exciting partnerships coming up that I don't want to say yet because I haven't concreted anything with these companies, but, stuff that might really benefit people to see, training on either equipment or whatever else. So, yeah, I'm really excited.
Well, Talon, talk to us more about that. You have those goals to make these connections. What have you found? And this is your second big show with us. What are some of the best practices you've developed on how to approach people? Who do you approach? Are you just approaching everybody? Go through that with us.
Okay. So because my what I'm doing is more geared towards content creation, I just introduce myself, talk about what my channel is about and people in the FFL, trying to get into the firearms industry. And usually it's their marketing person that I want to talk to. That's usually for me if you may go there and be looking for their sales rep or whatever, but for me, I'm usually looking for their marketing person. And I only approach people and company. I'm not going to every single company and asking for every single marketing person. I usually, if I see that their company could provide a benefit to an up-and-coming FFL or somebody trying to get into this business, I explain why I approach their company, not just like, hey, I really like free stuff and I'd like to get free stuff from you. But if I explain like, hey, this is my target audience and I feel like you have something that would benefit them. It's funny, a lot of them want to know what you want. What do you want? What is it that you're trying to get out of this? And for me, I have a unique outlook on doing that. I'm usually not trying to get anything from the company except for to publicize whatever they're doing for my people that watch my videos. So generally speaking, they open up pretty quick. So I feel like as long as you're honest with what you're trying to get and you're approachable and you have a clear goal in mind when you approach them, and you're able to, kind of have that back and forth conversation, most people at both shows, especially SHOT Show, are very receptive. I think at these shows they get a little bit more burnt out by just the casuals that are walking around collecting patches and stickers. But when they realize you're not that guy, they tend to open up a little quicker.
Yeah. So don't grab 7 patches and then go, hey, who's in charge here? I need to get some free stuff. That'd probably be the bad thing to do.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would be a bad thing.
Well, and also, like I mentioned before, like the guys that had, the name of their company on their hat, their shirt, all those things, like Talon, in addition to what you said, where you're coming up, you're being respectful when you come up and approach a company that you want to work with. You also have behind what you're doing, experience, a credential, and a business in two senses: your YouTube channel and Tradesman Firearms Gunsmithing. That you can, hey, here's what I'm trying to accomplish with some tools I can provide to that company.
I
So
think not trying to walk away with the deal right then is important too. Not being like, these guys, it is professional environment. There are a lot of people there. If I wanted to work out a deal, I would get their business card, give them my business card, tell them I'll send them an email as soon as they get back, that kind of thing. Trying to basically establish the initial connection, which Owen and I talked to quite a few people. A lot of promises are made at these shows and not followed through on. So
Just the
I think
nature of it.
yeah, so I think if you do go to these shows and you find these people, reaching back out, making that additional several of them have reached out to me just since I've been home and just said, hey, just wanted to touch base. We talked at the show. I think that's really great. It's the same thing. After I get off this call, my plan is to just sit here and email all the people that I've made connections with.
Following up is really important especially after both of the shows, because
yeah,
you forget after a week. You're looking at a business card and you're like, who is this again?
yeah. And I'll tell you, like, don't be discouraged, but also don't be annoying either. But if you follow up with somebody and they don't respond right away, especially 2 days after NRA show or any show, they're probably either taking a break from NRA or you're one email of thousands of emails I'm getting this week. But yeah, like hit them once, be polite, let them respond, but don't give up. They may have just either missed your email or they're just super busy, but try them again.
And I am still just getting started in all this, and I'm a terrible businessman, so as we've established in previous videos. So,
TradesmanFirearms.com, everybody.
right, buy cheap stuff here. But no, it's I am working in basically breaking into this industry in this role, and I find that most people are super respectful and helpful.
Good. And then just on the best practices thing, one thing I do, I always have like my little badge holder and my cards in there, but I carry a blue Sharpie. And so whenever I talk to somebody, I go, hey, I'd love to have you on the podcast or, our resource guide. And then I will write in big blue marker, resource guide or podcast. And that way I hand it to them. They're like, oh yeah, this chubby dude wanted me to be on his podcast. So, that way it kind of refreshes their memory. But when I do email or they try to contact me, they at least aren't doing that. What is this again kind of thing?
You brought up a good point. The badge holders. Having a badge holder from previous shows sets you apart from the people that grab the badge at the show. If you've never been to a show before, do yourself a favor a couple weeks ahead of time. Just order a badge holder so that you don't look like you have the same. This show, it was Midway USA. So if you have the same Midway USA badge holder as everybody else, versus if you have a badge holder from SHOT or a badge holder from someone else, I don't know, like the Valhalla Project or something like that.
Alan, enough with the badge holders. If you want my badge holder, I'll give it to you.
I knew that's where he was going.
I thought he was going to go with, you can just go to eBay here and get some patches from the previous show.
Oh yeah, that's the craziest thing. Talon found a picture, or Talon found on eBay people selling 5-packs, 6-packs of patches from the NRA event. I'm just like, who is buying these patches? Now, if you're one of those people and you're a viewer, I respect it. So, but if not, it's like, man,
$40 for 10 patches is insane.
I appreciate the hustle though. Like, you're getting all these patches. Maybe that's like those SHOT Show patch guys that just filled up their bags. I guess maybe that's what they're doing, but
They're millionaires.
that's
Are
that's
they?
a little bit for a guy who has to, pick and choose and purchase swag. It makes my heart hurt a little bit just knowing that people are just swiping stuff and reselling them.
So we
And
kind of covered it. I don't want to beat beat it like a dead horse, but because we kind of covered it at
Why
SHOT
are
Show.
you beating dead horses?
You know, as far as the swag thing, but that's true here too. If you grab the SAR bag and your bag is crazy full of swag, and you go to talk to somebody about business, they're going to look at your bag, they're going to look at you, and they're going to know why you're really there. So I think if you're there to conduct business, I'm not saying don't get swag, but maybe put it in a backpack, put it away from yourself, you know, that kind of thing, and look like you're not there just to collect a patch and a sticker.
Yeah, be like Talon. Bring a clandestine black bag, even though he was also grabbing a ton of swag.
Be very
But
subtle.
you'd never know. You'd never know he has 17 hats in that black bag.
The ultimate pro tip, though, if that's your goal, like have some of your own stuff made up, make it unique, make it cool, and like do some trades. Like go into a booth that you know like has some cool stuff, and do a trade with somebody there. That makes it a lot easier, and you probably get something.
Sets the tone.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on, let me grab.
Oh, where's he going?
There was a couple guys that came to the SDI booth and brought a patch and was like, hey, can I trade you one of mine for one of yours? It immediately changes the feel. Likewise, we were at Hogue. Hogue, they do handles and grips and stuff like that. And they had a really nice patch. And I was like, hey, can I get one of those? Because we ask, because we're not animals like some of those people. And they would be like, yeah, can we get one of yours? And I walked all the way back to our booth, grabbed one, and brought it back to them. So I think a lot of people do that. And these people at these booths don't always get a chance to walk around and see.
Well,
it,
I said bring your own or make your own. Talon literally just went to our booth, stole SDI patches. Itself is what he's admitting.
He's like, here, you want a tumbler?
These are Talon's tips.
I brought these from home. Here you go.
Talon's tips.
Talon's
swag.
tips. Have a really cool badge holder, aka Steve's.
No, but I was gonna shout out Short Shot Tony on YouTube. He does the same thing. He hands out this little sticker. He had his card out here. I'll block the number. I hope I did. I can't see that far because I don't have my glasses on. But they're cool little giveaways and be like, oh well, let me get you this. And yeah, people are more inclined to hand you stuff. I don't know which one the empty one is, but hand you stuff if you know you're willing to trade something cool for it.
Yeah. And I
like
still
in
find
real
that these different companies and things like that, they're very approachable. As long as you're going to them with a genuine interest, I don't think we had a single person that was not open to a discussion with us.
Yeah, don't be scared. Don't be scared to talk to folks, whether they're, you know, higher up at a manufacturer, a gun tuber, or, you know, tradesman firearms.com. So just go up and talk to them. They're nice people. And in our industry.
Website, yeah, I'm doing a new one now.
Okay. So,
Well, with SHOT Show, me and Talon, that was our first like big show, and it almost felt like we were an inconvenience to them. But at this show, we kind of knew like, hey, this is why they're there.
Yeah, 100%. I felt more comfortable talking to people and touching things, you know.
Well, okay. What were you touching?
He was touching all the swag.
why are you touching people?
Reaching
Stop.
out.
I mean, yeah, holding hands.
At SHOT Show, you see things, and having never been to one of these shows, you don't know what you can just walk up and pick up and grab and move and manipulate. And truly, it's all of it, because none of them
And
have
that should
firing
be a
pins.
rule everywhere you go. Like, think twice
Yes.
before just picking something up.
Talon did
That's
try
why
to steal a $5 keychain though, and he just can't run that fast.
I did. I thought it was swag.
Anyway, all right. So, what are some final thoughts you guys had about just the whole experience? You know, Talon as the newest to the NRA show. What was your what in sum it up in a couple sentences? Final thoughts on the whole show.
I think the same thing as SHOT Show. Know your goals. Know your goals and what you're going there. If you're going there for swag, go for swag. If you're going there to make business connections and talk to people and whatever, then make that be why you're there. Number two is if you can't go to SHOT Show, go to NRA. You should go to one of them, you know, if you can. If it's in your area, if it's at all possible, it's a great show. It's a huge show. It's worth going to. And lastly, just I guess do what you can to make the connections while you're there, but don't be overly forceful. Get your information, bring it back home, and follow up.
Be a used car salesman.
Don't be a used car salesman. Yep.
Oh, and Really just a couple sentences so you can make a good shorts clip from it. But Owen, in a couple sentences, final thoughts on NRA.
If you are a new gunsmith or trying to get into the industry, I think a smaller show like NRA is the one to go to. It's a lot more manageable. It's a lot more affordable, and also, you, like Steve was saying, you can wear your if you're trying to make connections or things like that, you can wear your company information, on your hat or shirt, and people will see that.
Steve, couple sentences, final thoughts.
As always, important for any new business, especially gunsmiths in our industry, network, network, network. If you can make it to a SHOT Show, do it. If you can make it to an NRA show, do it. If you can make it to goals, do it. If you can only make it to your local gun show, do it. But you got to get out and network.
And I'm the host. I'm just here to look pretty and kind of manage all this stuff. So, all right. Well, that does it for this NRA recap episode of the Gun Rack. If you want more information on SDI's programs, go to sdi.edu, hit request information, talk to one of our admissions reps. There's a lot of information on there. But for Steve, Owen, and Talon, I've been Christian. See you in the next video. Bye.
Thank you.
Everybody wave. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Crap, I wasn't recording.